Jā, labdien! Good afternoon! Paldies! Man ir tas gods sākt.
I am honored to open the press conference of the Foreign Minister of Latvia, Edgars Rinkēvičs, and the European Commissioner for International Cooperation and Development, Neven, Mimica. Mr. Rinkēvičs, please. Good afternoon, dear participants, journalists. I'm really honored to see you here in such great number. This shows that you are interested in discussing the subject of cooperation, development cooperation, and that this subject is very topical. And it has become even more topical if we think about the tragic events in Paris 2 days ago. All of us realize that the fight against terrorism is, first of all, the duty of law enforcement institutions and state security institutions, but we should look at this problem from a wider angle. The European Union has a range of tools that can affect positively the situation in regions that are in some way linked with terrorist activity. And if we apply funding for development correctly, we can battle the causes in many regions of the world that give rise to extremism and terrorism. Once again, I would like to express my condolences to the people of France and underline that when we talk about our plans on how to fight this phenomena, we have to look at it from a very wide angle. More than 300 people from 38 countries have come to this opening event. We have members from the state and NGOs, from international organizations, from our partner countries, from Eastern Partnership countries and regions of Central Asia. We have a large number of representatives from local governments, researchers, students, and the private sector. And we have achieved one of the development cooperation priorities in this particular event. According to the information I have, we have almost an equal number of male and female representatives. Even 6 women are in the lead by 6, so this balance is almost perfect. I would not like to bore you with statistics, but I would just like to mention that the youngest participant of our opening event is 11 and the oldest one is 66 years old. So we see that there is a very wide range of people participating. Mr. Mimica will talk about the priorities of the European Commission as it prepares for the revision of development goals. Already yesterday we agreed to cooperate closely with the Commission, with the High Representative, to prepare as best as we can for the events foreseen on the UN level. And in Riga we will have an informal meeting of development ministers where they will try to work on the political decisions required for the European cooperation context. Our Prime Minister already mentioned in her speech that this year for Latvia, the EU and the world is a unique one, a very symbolic. For the first time we are the presidency of the EU. For the first time the thematic year of Europe is devoted to foreign policy, because development cooperation is one of the major tools of foreign policy of the EU. And of course, all of us together within the UN, we have to agree on new sustainable development goals. For Latvia, this is a special honor because only 20 years ago we regained our independence from the Soviet state and we received aid from other countries. If we look at the numbers, the GDP of Latvia currently is 7 times higher than it was in 1995. We have progressed a lot, and if we look at the statistical data, we are one of the leading countries in implementing the principles of gender equality, not only quantitatively, but also qualitatively. Already now, our experts share their experience with neighboring countries, and this year is an excellent opportunity for us to tell about the best examples implemented in the cooperation between Latvia and the EU. As I already stated, we are willing to cooperate closely with the European Commission and international institutions to implement a very effective development cooperation. I would like to mention several areas where I see a need for investments that I see as priority areas. First of all, it's human rights, good governance and accountable institutions, because we can say that without the rule of law and good governance, most of funds do not reach the goal they were intended for. So good governance in these countries is very important. Gender equality is another priority that we would like to foster and see incorporated into the general approach of the EU as regards to development cooperation. And in March, we will have an event here in Riga on economic opportunities of women and sustainable development. These are my introductory remarks, and I would like to now invite the Commissioner, Mr. Mimica, to talk about his views, and we are ready to take your questions. Thank you, and now I give the floor to Mr. Mimica.
Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As we launch the European Year for Development today, I'm really pleased to see so many donors, NGOs, representatives from partner countries, politicians, the private sector, academia, and the young people coming together here with one aim, to make the European Year for Development a real success. But before turning to the development topics, I would really like to state that 2 days ago in Paris, my values, my freedoms, my way of life was hit as well. Your values, your way of life, your freedoms, your way of doing your work was hit as well. But therefore, whenever we stand in silence, in at least 1 minute of silence, actually we demonstrate the most loud determination that we have in defending our solidarity, in defending our values, and therefore I really see that what we have to do from now on is to strengthen the link between and a very firm balance, delicate one, but very important balance between our security and our development response to this intolerable, deploring terrorist acts or inhuman acts that is now hitting our way of life. So there is a place for European Year for Development. There is a place for development policy of the European Union and its member states to be really linked together with our foreign and security responses, our humanitarian relief responses, and our long-term development responses to all of the crises, be it in the area of terrorism, of illegal migration, climate change, whatever is in front of us. We have to tackle it at a root level, at a root causes level, and this is what we shall continue to do with a more vigor in a future. So I am very proud that this year, 2015, will be the first ever European year to look at what Europe does outside its border and focus on external affairs. For 30 years now, we always had a major topic, major theme of the European year on our internal policies, on our internal efforts to build a stronger and more relevant union. But now we really look outside Europe and the role that we play as a global actor. This year is the most important year for development policies and development agenda in the world for all those who are working and who are shaping the development agenda. But the main goal for all of us actually should be, and the main effort is to be, not only to make this year so important for the people inside the development bubble, but to make it so important for everybody in Europe, for European citizens, for media, for academia, for all the stakeholders. And we are exactly on that way by launching and by having a European Year for Development as our contribution to keeping and to enforcing European role in the global development policy. There are 3-4 major global processes in front of us during this year, one being the post-2015 agenda on new sustainable development goals. The other one is a process on finding the best means of implementation, the best financing for development in order to fulfill these goals. Third one is the climate change conference, taking climate commitments. And I could add also the fourth process of disaster risk reduction in Sendai conference as a humanitarian relief, but not only, far from being the only one aspect of that conference. So what we have now is that these 4 processes run in parallel, and we have to make them not only run in parallel, but we have to make them converge at an early stage in order to have a comprehensive development agenda with a sustainability as a important and the most important component of poverty eradication and the inclusiveness of all our policies. Therefore, we in the European Commission are keen to better coordinate European positions within the formal negotiating processes in the United Nations. We are keen to formulate European approach in a one voice, not as a block or as a single structured voice, but we would like to have European member states going along the same line lines, going along the same priorities and the same goals for the new development agenda or a new development paradigm that is to be shaped in New York, in Addis, in Paris, in Sendai. European Year for Development actually fits perfectly into this importance of this year when it comes to global setup of a development agenda. That is why the timing of 2000 for European Year for Development is so important. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to raise awareness with the European Union citizens and taxpayers on how our work is making a difference in some of the world's poorest countries. I would say that even from the very beginning we have not so bad, quite a comfortable understanding and recognition by the European citizens on the European engagement in the development contribution and development solidarity in the world. According to Eurobarometer, more than 80% of European citizens are in favor of keeping that leading European role in development assistance to our partners in the world. And more than 2/3 of the European citizens are in favor of having this contribution even higher, at a higher level. So it's a big task for us now to respond to these expectations of the European citizens, but also to reinforce this recognition by a number of actions taken within the European Union during this European Year for Development. This is not a European Commission's Year for Development, this is European Year for Development. Therefore, I appreciate very much the engagement, the programs, the action plans of each and every member state, of each and every stakeholders, of the NGOs, of the young generation to participate into this process. So, therefore, for me, it's very, very important to have all these processes, to keep them together and to have European Union not only as the biggest contributor, biggest donor in the world, and we are, that is a fact. The European Union and its member states with over 56 billion euros each year contributing to development projects in the world. We are more than a half of the global official development assistance, and we shall keep this position, but we have to be not only the biggest but the best donor in the world. We have to be not only the payer but the player in the development policy and development agenda in the world. And this is why we are together today here. This is why we shall be together not only during this year but during years and the decades to come in order to keep and to reinforce European position as a global development player. Thank you. We shall definitely be ready.
Thank you. A question, please.
Question more for Commissioner Mimica, but I would be happy if Minister Rinkēvičs also comments. I was inspired by what the President of the European Economic and Social Committee, Mr. Henri Marlos, said this morning. He was critical. He said that development policy got lost in bureaucracy. He said we are supplying a lot of direct assistance to third countries' governments, but he said, where is the money? And he spoke of a real reform. You spoke of real reform yourself, Mr. Mimica, but do you think that you will be able to achieve those goals? And Mr. Malos spoke of making development a community policy. You didn't go that far. You said member states going along the same priorities. I don't think it's the same, so glad for your, looking forward for your comments.
On this?
I could agree that European development agenda and European development policy needs a constant inside view and a constant monitoring of especially of the effectiveness of our policies. And I see also a lot of reasons and a lot of good arguments that could justify that our development agenda, our development contribution to the world is an efficient one. I, of course, wouldn't deny that there are some problems in overall coordination, but we have always keep in mind that the European development projects and programs are implemented in the most risky, most fragile, most vulnerable environment in a third countries, most often not through European own agencies or operational agency, but through our partners, be it through budget support or in the partner countries, or through United Nations system, or some member states agencies or NGOs, and therefore it is rather delicate and comprehensive exercise to keep all this under this path of a constant accountability, monitoring, and avoiding that the money goes into wrong direction. But our error rate in our projects is among the lowest when it comes to European budget appropriations. Even those projects that are implemented inside the European Union, be it in agriculture, common agriculture policy, or in the regional cohesion policy, they are with a higher error rates than the outside external actions in the development policy. We are around 3% of the error rates, and error rates doesn't mean a fraud rate. It's only about the procedures and the administrative procedures, whether they are fully respected or not. We have in place a number of criteria, a number of monitoring exercises that actually prevent the misuse of European taxpayer money in third countries. We are not perfect, but we are good at this point. But we must not be complacent. We shall improve. We shall continue improving our development contribution and our development projects in the third countries. We do it not only as a European Commission. We are more and more coordinating member states agencies and member states development contribution as well. In over 50 partner countries, we have a joint programming with the member states, trying to get the coordinated input into priority sectors programs in these countries. And this is a good development that we shall keep. And I will always keep in mind what Mr. Malros said, because this is a guidelines that we have to take care of and that we have to tackle in order to make our development contribution more efficient and more relevant.
Just a couple of points to add. The first I actually tried to address when I was talking about priorities, that we should pay attention to overall public administration in those countries that are on the receiving end of development assistance, because very often what we see is that the money does not reach the target, and probably some direct input has to be, or direct tranche of assistance should be looked very carefully. Second, here in this country, and I'm still not very happy as a minister who is responsible also for development assistance. We do not have, let's say, enough resources after crisis. We are currently just gradually and incrementally increasing amount of finances that are devoted to this end. But in this country we have a very good cooperation also with non-governmental organizations. I think that to some extent they are more efficient. But another issue what I really want to underline what Commissioner was also talking is coordination. First of all, coordination between the European Commission and Member States. Sometimes we try to get in the same, let's say, line, and sometimes there are gaps. But also I think that what we really need, and here I'm very pleased to see some recent improvements and progress, is also coordination within the larger framework. United Nations being one, regional organizations where it applies as well. And also, while we will be discussing how to improve overall management and how to improve overall use of funds available for development assistance in formal and informal council meetings, I also want to underscore that probably while we are keeping some basic principles and framework, some more individual approach to countries or regions is needed. Central Asia or Africa also in different regions may differ, and we have to be probably more specific when it comes also to overall regional or more individual assistance to countries, to nations in need.
Paldies. Mums 2 jautājumi palikuši vēl. Lūdzu.
Thank you. We have 2 questions pending.
Sommer, I'm sitting next to the youngest participant here today, and I want to say thank you to the Latvian Foreign Affairs Ministry for facilitating her participation. And we have 2 questions. The first one is, what are you planning during the year to engage with her and people of her age across Europe? And secondly, what are you planning during the year to ensure that when we talk about development, we talk about sustainable development, like we heard this morning, which also includes, or very much includes, our lifestyles here in Europe? Thank you.
Paldies.
So, okay. Well, first of all, I think that the very kind of presence, symbolic presence, here is already a good start, but as you know, we are going to have some events throughout the presidency where we are going to address, as I said, issues of human rights as well as issues that are related to children's rights. Our specific focus, of course, will be to countries where we have seen that there are some issues. We have already good cooperation securing women's and children's rights in Central Asia. I think that we can expand this also overall within the European Development Year to some other regions. Also, I do hope that the presidency of Luxembourg will take over from us and there will be continuous events also during their presidency. On sustainable development, well, this is one of issues where I feel we are going to have very, let's say, extensive discussion during our informal meeting as well as formal meeting, because one of issues that many member states want to put on the table is really how to ensure sustainable development for post-2015 goals. There are some different views, there are some discussions how to improve, and I see that what we can do at this time, we can facilitate the common EU position for the debate in United Nations for the post-2015 goals, and to try to get as efficient as possible the common EU approach when it comes to priorities, as I already said, when it comes to right mechanisms of spending also finances we have, and also on interaction with other international organizations. So my basic approach is that if we get united position, I think it's May now when we are going to have informal meeting here in Riga, and if we can agree and then formalize the the united approach of the European Union, and it would be already something that I could describe as quite an achievement.
Yes.
Well, I wholeheartedly welcome the young lady, the youngest lady here with us, and this is the right time and the right place to get interested and to get engaged in the development issues. I really see that what we have to do better and more is in our overall development agenda is not only to rely on priority areas where we program our projects in partner countries, not only to these sectors that are identified by our development partners, but also to have our own global vertical projects and priorities where we shall have them as a thematic contribution to the development in the world, and place and role of children, the economic, social inclusiveness of young people is definitely one of these thematic priorities that we have to better implement in real life across the board, and this is what we shall do. On sustainability, yes, indeed, maybe we met the Millennium Development Goals to quite high degree of when it comes to especially to some of those goals. The extreme poverty has been halved, even ahead of this target date, but still, for instance, we have reduced from 1.2 billion to 800 million people who are stunted, who don't have enough to eat in terms of quality and the quantity of food. And even this reduction to 800 million means that we have 800 million hungry people too many in the world. And that is the place where the Sustainable Development Goals fits into the overall development picture. So therefore, it's not only enough to speak over figures, over numbers. It's a time to speak about names and the lives of each and every people. It's time to speak how to keep the overall future dignity of each and every people under the Sustainable Development Goal. Sustainability was missing actually in the Millennium Development Goals, and now it's time to factor them into our development goals. And after all, I'd like to recall everybody on the speech of the Pope Francis in the European Parliament just a few weeks or a month ago, when he pointed out that the ultimate goal of each and every policy is how to uphold and the dignity of people. And this is also what is the ultimate goal of our development policy under Sustainable Development Goals as a major way, major mean of implementing or eradicating the poverty in the world.
Paldies. Pēdējais jautājums, lūdzu.
Good day.
Thank you.
From La Stampa. Commissioner Mimica, you said that this is going to be the first year in which the European Union watch what it's been doing outside, and that's welcome. It was about time. But at the same moment, I would like to know what are you going to do, because 2015 is going to be the fourth year in a row in which there will be massive crossing of the Mediterranean and more people drowning in front of Lampedusa and Malta and Spain. So is there any way, any concrete way you plan to integrate the development policy with the migration policy in order to limit the damages and the horrors of the migrations and avoid to have more people drowning while coming from desperate regions to a better place such as Europe is? Thank you.
Yes, concrete and detailed European Commission's answer to the problems of migration in general and of illegal migration in particular is a part of our work program for this year, and very soon we shall come with a very concrete action plan and communication on migration policy, where we shall build the nexus, the link between security and development aspects of illegal migration. It's indeed a very clear need to have such a comprehensive approach that will not only build the walls on the borders of the European Union, but that will dismantle the walls in the countries of origin of the illegal migration, where we have to dismantle the inequalities, or the walls that actually prevent the people to be included into economic and social life there, and to the prosperity in their own countries. Therefore, the concept we have is the same one as the one I tried to briefly tackle at the beginning of this press conference, when I spoke of a need to have coherent policies that would actually tackle the problems, the cross-cutting problems and crises at a root level, at a place and at the reasons where these problems actually started. So illegal migration is one of the problems that we shall deal with from all aspects of European policies, in order to have a coherent response to the migration issues and the migration challenges that we face. This will include also the issue of legal migration, where we have also to develop it better here inside the European Union, as our in-house coordination and in-house exercise that is part again of the universality of the sustainable development goals that are to be applied equally in a developed and developing countries.
Paldies. Paldies visiem.
Thank you to everybody.